And in an explosive confession, former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd has admitted ultimate responsibility for the deaths of 4 men during Labor's botched pink bat scheme.
I have accepted ultimate responsibility for what was not just bad, but in this case, a deep tragedy, as it affected the lives of the families concerned.
For the families of Matthew Fuller, Reuben Barnes, Mitchell Sweeney and Marcus Wilson, these were words they'd waited years to hear. All 4 men died during the rollout of the 2009 Pink Bat scheme, a program rushed through to provide economic stimulus during the depths of the global financial crisis. The scheme was also linked to hundreds of house fires.
Had any public servant, any minister, advised the Cabinet that there was a safety risk, then I'm confident in saying the reaction of ministers would have been to say, whoa, this has to be dealt with.
The former PM said his advice on the scheme came from bureaucrats.
If you're going to build a bridge across a river, you do rely upon the advice of those around you.
Last year, a coroner's report found the pace at which the scheme was rolled out was a factor in the deaths of 3 of the victims. While today's admission from the former Prime Minister was welcome, for the families, the suffering will never end.
No family should ever have to go through what we've been through. What the families of Reuben Barnes, Matthew Fuller and Marcus Wilson have been through.
Bill Potts is the lawyer for Reuben Barnes' dad, Murray, and we spoke to him earlier.
Bill, how do the families feel about Kevin Rudd taking responsibility for their son's deaths?
Well, they've heard a lot of words from the former Prime Minister today. He said he accepts responsibility for the program and for its implementation, but he can't explain how the various systemic faults caused the death of my client's son.
Just drilling down into the former Prime Minister's admissions, he says he accepts responsibility for what happened, but then proceeds to palm off responsibility onto all these bureaucrats. But are there consequences for even his admission to date?
There may be civil consequences for the Commonwealth because people have lost their lives and compensation may be paid. Various installers have been made bankrupt, so they may also have claims against the Commonwealth. But what's really happened is, I suppose, a moral claim rather than a legal claim. Borrowing Harry Truman, the Prime Minister agreed that the buck stops on his desk, but where the blame lies and where the fault lies was not entirely clear from his answers.
Bill, Rudd was pretty glib at times today. Let's have a listen.
If you're looking for me as the home handyman, if my wife was giving testimony, Commissioner, she would be quick to give a response. I am not.
Was that appropriate, Bill?
Oh, I think the Prime Minister was trying to lighten up what has been a very difficult and long day for him. But, of course, the death of Reuben Barnes and the other young men is no laughing matter.
I think we can see Kevin Rudd actually leaving at the moment just behind you there, Bill. Are we expected to hear from him any more following today's proceedings?
No, the reality is that his evidence is over and we will not be expecting to hear from him again. Look, at the end of the day, words from a Prime Minister, words from a government are only that. The reality is that we want action, and the action is to prevent this type of tragedy from occurring again.
So is that all the families are after?
It is. Murray Barnes is not about revenge. He was very pleased to hear the word responsibility, but he didn't hear the word sorry today, and he didn't hear the words, it's my fault. What he heard was a very large amount of disingenuous froth and quite a lengthy series of explanations, some of which, quite frankly, I didn't understand, and I suspect my client didn't understand.
Bill, thanks very much for the update.
Anytime.